Rock musicians get their music while on drugs or from spirit guides, which are demons.
Ladies and gentlemen, the First Lady of Television, Ms. Lucille Ball.
Oh, is this something? Mr. President, Mr. Dragon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it took my breath away, this place. It is so beautiful. You should see it from up here. Really. And thank you very much for that introduction. It's an honor to be called First Lady, but it's even a greater honor to be in the company of our real First Lady, Nancy Reagan. Now then, Mr. Robert Hope. Rapid Robert. I've worked with Bob many times, and when you work with Bob, it is such a pleasure. Really. We've done 4 movies together, dozens of TV shows, and through the years, so many people have asked me, what is Bob Hope really like? You can't even use the word like. You love Bob Hope. He's America's most loved comedian. Bob has one of the most remarkable homes here in the desert. They say Moses and his many followers wandered in the desert for 40 years. Well, if they were wandering in this desert for 40 years, they would never have time to leave Bob Hope's property. You think I'm kidding? But if Bob isn't working tonight, many others are. And since this is a cultural center celebrating the diversity of the arts, we are fortunate enough, indeed, to have one of the most versatile dance companies in the world to perform for us this evening. Here is Alvin Ailey's American Dance Theater.
With Little Miss Sunshine, Rihanna, where you at?
They've been telling the truth through Hollywood tales. Those witches and warlocks forged in hell. You turn on your TVs and fall under spell. Those witches and warlocks will never tell.
Eye is your hand over your eye.
Because I'm a devil worshiper. What are you talking about?
All right, well, I have tickets to see the devil worshiper.
In rock music, you must be an initiated witch, a coven member. That means you're a minister.
I'm friends with the monster that's under my bed. Get along with the voices inside of my head.
Freemasonry, we had to be recommended by another Mason. Well, in order to join witchcraft, you have to be first screened. You have to be recommended by somebody currently in witchcraft.
Well, when I was initiated, I was blindfolded and bound by a rope, and on your bare chest was thrust the point of a spear.
In witchcraft, we were initiated through a very involved ritual, initiation ceremony, wherein the candidate was led blindfolded, bound by a rope to the edge of the magic circle.
And the rope is around your neck and you're led forward. And up front, at the eastern end of the building, is a person who's a worshipful master. And you kneel down before him as if he were a god.
You were met by the high priest or high priestess at that time, usually with a sword to your chest.
When I went to enter the lodge, a sharp object was put to my left breast. And I was warned that should I reveal any of the secrets of Freemasonry, to know what to expect.
When you're presented before the high priest, a sword is held against your chest, and you actually take a blood oath, promising to remain faithful to the secrets of witchcraft.
Well, when you are in the room, this blindfold is taken away from you, and this is a time when they say that you're coming from darkness into light.
During the initiation ceremony, the initiate is led by the lieutenant of the high priest and is challenged at the edge of the circle by someone saying, "Who goes there?" And the answer is, "One from the world of darkness."
In Masonry, the prayers are ended with "So mote it be."
Oh, and one of the other aspects of, or distinctives of the craft was that we would always end any spell or ritual where we released the power, this is where the power was released, with the word "So mote it be."
My career in law enforcement, I actually joined the Brotherhood of Freemasons.
Yeah, how'd you get into that?
Man, you know, a lot of cops are involved with that.
Really?
Oh yeah. It is. It's a thing that I'm not saying you must do, but 95% of them do. Hindu, Muslim, whatever. You could be atheist, they don't care. You could be Satan. You could be a devil worshiper. Wow. And they'll bring a devil worshiping Bible right there, satanic Bible, so you could you take the oath. Yeah, they don't care. See, I didn't know that until I started doing more homework on it. In order for you to be a Shriner, you got to be a Mason. For order you to be a Knights Templar, you got to be a Mason. And the more you go up in that pyramid, and the highest you could go is a Rothschild. Right. They're the highest of the highest.
Really?
Yeah, they're the satanic children of Satan.
Wow.
They actually sit on the table and they have a special chair for Satan right there. And he comes and talks to these family members, and they're the ones that, the shaking and bakers, I call it. Oh yeah, you have to be a Freemason to be there. All the presidents were Freemasons.
Okay.
A small portion weren't, but they were Jesuits. It's just the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, even the Pope. They don't. And I'm going to be honest. They don't actually have to do the whole ritual. They have to watch.
Right.
And because of their power and rank within the church.
But they're still controlled by them.
Oh yeah, everything is controlled by the white and black Pope.
Yeah.
So black and white, which is white and black tiles, is where we have our temple.
That's where you get that.
Yeah, the yin yang, you know, the
right.
good versus evil. You got to have one of the balance. And that's the work of the devil. God doesn't work that way. He doesn't manifest that way. A lot of these guys and women, men and women that work in Hollywood, they're all Satanists.
I bet.
All of them are Satanists. And you know what? Anybody could tell me different. I really don't care because I know. Certain hand signs that you do, you know, the pyramid, the rock, you know, Jay-Z calls this the rock. It's a pyramid.
Right.
All right? But in that pyramid, there's 13... They know which president they're going to make. They make them. All this political stuff, right, that's just BS. That's bullshit.
Why?
That is bullshit. That is the most deceiving thing in America. They know which, the Rothschilds makes the presidents. They're trillionaires. They own the world. They own like 90% of the world. Yeah. But see, the Masons are the foot soldiers of the Illuminati. You understand the pyramid, right?
Yes, yes.
It's shaped like a triangle, right? So we're at the very bottom.
At the very bottom.
And then above that, you got different families. You know, different. Above that, you got York Rite, Scottish Rites, which are also sets of different branches of Freemasons. And then you go into Knights Templar, and you got. You know, so Shriners.
I guess that's where you get the all-seeing eye from.
The all-seeing eye is Lucifer.
Right.
Underneath them is the Rothschilds. Underneath them is the Council of 13. Or the Council of 33. Or 13. No, 13. Underneath them, you got the Council of 33. Underneath them, you got big, you know, different corporations like the CFR. Wow. Council of Foreign Relations. And underneath them, you got, you know, like 6 big companies that own all the, they own all the real estate, and they own all like media outfits, you know, like, I said media, they own all different types of...
Yeah, like those people who are like Warren Buffett, who owns...
Well, yeah, he's a 33rd.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they own, you know, property, they own land, they own...
Stocks, everything. Yeah.
Everything. So you got 6 corporations in the world that owns 90% of the assets and the money of the world.
Once upon a time, it was a great thing to have talent. It is almost inevitable that your talent absolutely means nothing. You see, talent was all you needed at one given time before man put his spell on a thing called entertainment. Nowadays, it's a bit demonic. Well, the word entertainment itself is demonic. Let me explain this. Marriage that is proposed to you, but don't think it's about a woman. It's about a soul for sale. Yes, that's right, because your soul is married to the game. The game is the music business, entertainment, sports, whatever. See, they're gonna shake your hand, but what you don't understand is you're being welcomed to fame and lies. And there's always a guy in a nice suit to come around as clean shaved and tell you the do's and don'ts, just to see where your head's at. And he's going to advise you of a letter that will be arriving, but you probably want to hand it to you because it's personal. Why is it personal? Because the letter is going to be an opportunity for you, but it's not any kind of letter or contract. It's a contract of blood offering. That's right. They want you to sign your name in blood because you have been chosen by the Brotherhood. And without hesitation, you sign. And you're so ecstatic. Your name is all over MTV, BET. You're excited. But you're not done. Because see, after that, they're going to invite you to the lodge. And during the lodge presentation, they're going to tell you the do's and don'ts. They're going to tell you to keep your mouth shut. And if you should adhere to this and tell anyone the secrets, your tongue could be removed, your eyes could be gouged, or your neck could be slit. So, what do? You leave out of that with a bonus check. But to remind you, as you walking out the door, beware, all ye who enters.
Put your hands together.
With the tongues of men and of angels, and I have no charity, I am become as sounding brass or tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have faith so that I could remove mountains and have no charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profits me nothing. When I was a child, I spent as a child. I understood as a child and thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know it might fall. But then, sure I know, even so also I am known. And now I derive faith, hope, charity, these three. But the lens of all these is charity. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Angels, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Spiritual gifts, brother, that ye may prophecy. For he that speaketh in an unknown tongue speaketh not unto men, but unto Yahweh. For no man understandeth him, howbeit in the spirit that speaketh mystery. Have you ever wondered why they have tape over the mouth when you see an ad or a magazine? Well, they're explaining to the person who's looking, hush, never tell. Now, most people in the real world will never understand this. The red and blue eyes also go back to the satanic world of Satanism. We're not making these things up. We're just bringing them out. You see ads like this all the time with the one eye. And then you have females to put the hair and the eye, starting with Aaliyah. Well, they're explaining about the all-seeing eye. Goes back to Egyptology, gods, and Osiris's and Kabbalahs. You have no idea what you're doing, but you're mimicking something very satanic and evil. I don't know how many times When I was coming up, I saw a finger over the lips. I just thought that was being cute for be quiet. But in the world of entertainment, it means never tell the secrets. Now our black people have adopted these rituals because they want to be like their counterparts. Yes, I said counterparts because this was never for us. We was already upright, righteous folks. We led the way, but now we're slipped because we want to be a part of this world called America's, and we want to be rich. To be rich, you have to believe in a dream. And once they can get you believe in a dream, man, it's all downhill. The book of the Apocrypha tells us dreams are for fools. But you can't wait to stand in line for the American Idol, X Factor, America Has Talent. It's all just hoorah. You had no idea that it's about really satanicism, signing your name in blood. And for the women, they use you so bad, you have no idea what they're going to do to you once you get behind the scenes. Wow. There's usually about 4 different stages before you're getting signed. Now, this is a beautiful sister, right? Usually, this is how you look when you first get signed. You look ecstatic, refreshing. After about a year, you turn into this. Your face starts to change because your soul is being sucked out of you. Now, you don't notice this at all because you're trying to keep up with them. You think it's their fashion style, but really, it's what they endure when they sign with the industry. As they go on, and 1 year becomes 2 and 3 becomes 4, their soul is totally gone. When they look in the mirror, they can see things you don't see. They see demons, like Whitney Houston saw demons. But to the public, they look like this. And you notice every year they look more deranged. They look more hard. They look more spaced out. Look at Nicki Minaj. This fits her like a glove. You had no idea these transitions are what they're going through because they sold their soul. Who is this walking through the airport? None other than Prince Roger Nelson. Check out his earth sandals. My wife got the same pair. You can't tell me this man ain't a flaming sissy. Anyways, we need to explain why this man is doing a lot of tours overseas. You see, the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of righteous folks overseas. And in this tour, he's trying to hoodwink you. We'll explain. Well, when he goes overseas to tour, he brings the all-seeing eye. And what most folks don't understand, those lines that you see in the seeing eye, they're subliminal. They put you in spells. You ever came out of a concert and felt high and kind of had lightheaded? Well, you've been on subliminal because the average person knows nothing about righteousness and they have no idea about the scriptures. So when you are empty and have no light, it's easy for spirits to take you over. Prince is a demonic Jehovah devil set up by design. What a lot of people don't understand is that Jimi Hendrix was extremely talented, but never gave in to the brotherhood, never signed his name in blood, nor did he accept the oath. Jimmy just was a man who loved to play music. He signed with anybody who had a contract, something that his manager hated about him, and his manager also had him executed. You see, Jimmy did not accept the powers that be, so they put a tube down his throat and forced alcohol into his system, causing alcohol poisoning, making it look like he gurgitated off his own vomit when they killed him because he wouldn't accept the brotherhood. Laid his body on his side and put a bottle of wine next to it and said, well, he did it to himself. Some of his closest mentors who came to the funeral, as Miles Davis, knew the truth. Janis Joplin also knew the truth too. She also paid for her life because she was getting ready to expose why Jimmy was killed. So they took her life. We'll explain her clip as it's coming up. You notice how they're carrying Jimmy's coffin, or should we say casket, because Jimmy wasn't part of the brotherhood. We're also going to explain as the film rolls, there's a different level of sacrifice. Whenever you see a casket on the shoulders of a man who's carrying you out, you will sacrifice to the brotherhood. We'll explain that as the film continues. Jimi Hendrix was a brother who just loved playing music. That was it. They killed him because he wouldn't accept the oath or the traditions of the brotherhood. And that's just the honest God truth. Jimi Hendrix was a brother who never accepted Satan's world. Janis Joplin was very close-knit friends with Jimi Hendrix. She also knew that Jimmy did not take his own life as far as choking on vomit after drinking. She knew that Jimmy was alcohol poisoned by his former manager, who did not like Jimmy because Jimmy had a bad habit of signing with anyone with a recording label, and he did not accept the oath. Janis was talking about this among fellow musicians whom she could not express enough to. Meanwhile, they would go behind her back and tell Jimi Hendrix's former manager what Janis was talking about. So Janis was getting prepared in 1970 for a concert in a hotel. As they went to check on her, the goons have already been in her room and gave her an overdose of heroin. Janis Joplin was getting ready to blow the whistle on Jimi Hendrix's death, and they could not have that, so they killed her. No one knew why someone wanted to kill Otis Redding. As his body lies slumped in the pier where the fishermen fish, they had to hook line his body out the water, as you see here. Otis was beaten to death because he and James Brown was getting ready to orchestrate a distribution deal for black music. It's the same thing Damon Dash did with Suge Knight, and they took the riches. Well, back in those days, this thing was unheard of, and still today. So they killed him. They beat him. Now you're probably asking yourself, why not James Brown too? Because they felt like James Brown would be more profitable. So they made James a deal. James accepted the oath. Otis Redding was a big man, so they couldn't come to him by themselves. They came with a few people. They caught him off guard, they beat him to death and threw him in the pier. James Brown lay motionless into the funeral because James knew why they took his friend's life. When they made James a deal, he did not back down, nor did he think about doing a distribution deal ever again. James took the oath, and he signed with the Brotherhood. Blood, that is. Meanwhile, Otis had his funeral, and you notice they carrying his casket by the waist, indicating that he was not of Brotherhood, nor did he sign his name in blood, nor was his life a sacrifice for anyone in the industry. But James Brown signed over his life to fulfill the legacy of the Brotherhood. Now, after James accepted the oath and accepted the Brotherhood, they let him rub elbows with none other than Al Sharpton. See, Al Sharpton gave in a long time ago. His job was to orchestrate to James about the BSing of the NAACP, the Black Caucus, so on and so forth. James Brown was shocked to hear the news, but nevertheless, James played the game and he played it well. Whenever there was an event of a rioting, of anything that was unjustified to blacks, they would call James to have a concert. So when you hear the song, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, you can only wonder, did he really mean it? Or was it a song to fulfill the Brotherhood, to calm and ease the minds of black folk? I'll let that ponder while you guys think about what was just said. So when you hear the song, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, do it do you justice? Did you really get it? Some of you had no idea why James made that record. Now, if it's sincere, that's a great thing. But the song was used to calm the black folks down. So was James, because he accepted the oath of the Brotherhood. Whenever they have a situation that when black folks were being slaughtered in the streets, they called trumpet players, musicians, Harry Belafonte, Stevie Wonder, and they still do that today. That's why our people look for idolaters to solve our problems. These are just men in sheep clothing. James was a bad musician. He was a bad man when it came to music and dancing, but that's about all. We're not here to downplay it. We're only here to tell you the truth, that James was here to dumbfound you with his music. He never told you the truth. He was part of the Brotherhood. After he saw his friend die brutally, James got with the program. And when he's had a change of heart, they started making mockery of him. They started saying he was drunk. They started saying he was on this, he was on that. And James and Michael both knew the truth, what they done. They talked about it quite often, getting out, but they knew they couldn't. You can only blood out once you accept the oath. But some type, some way, they believed they could tell the people what was going on. James was the first they took in out to make Michael get back into gear. But it didn't work. As James lay motionless, they called his friend, his mentor, who gave him the ropes to begin with, Al Sharpton. Why did they call Al Sharpton? Because they wanted Al Sharpton to fulfill the role of an usher who cares about a human life to black folk. But when Al Sharpton got the news why they wanted him really there, to show support for the Brotherhood, Al Sharpton didn't hesitate. Al Sharpton knows this game and he knows it well. He played it better than any football player. He sits next to the coffin with his hands in a pyramid, letting his Brotherhood know, I'm here with James, but I'm not about the black and proud. I'm only here to fulfill a legacy, to make our people feel comfortable. I totally understand my role. Isn't that something? A man that sits before you, who's your mentor, and actually is a devil in sheep clothing. This man meant James Brown no good from the moment he met him. He was just using James to prolong his own life. Godfather's soul, James Brown's son-in-law, Darren Chip Lamar, shot and killed. Why is that? You see, Darren knew the truth. He knew that his stepfather did not die of a cardiac arrest. James Brown was poisoned, and Darren was going to tell the truth. Investigators said that the shooter was waiting for Lamar, the neighborhood where Lamar lived in his gated community. When he drove up to park his car in the garage, he was confronted. An altercation of some sort took place. That's when the victim was shot multiple times, said police officer Eric Swartz. I think it was somebody that knew him, Swartz said. The witness said Lamar then got into a car and drove 4 miles to Northside Hospital, where he died. CBS 46 talked with Lamar in January 2007, only weeks after James Brown died Christmas Day 2006. Lamar said he felt his father-in-law's death was suspicious. There's not a bone in my body that believes my father-in-law died from congestive heart failure, Lamar said. Lamar questions Brown's death because there was no autopsy. That is genius, because the Illuminati, who are the music industry, Clyde Davis and all the rest of them, but Clyde Davis being the ringleader of black entertainment, gives orders to cover up everything. You understand? We'll talk more as we go along the way what Clyde Davis is orchestrating. See, James Brown was taken out because he was getting tired. And as they get tired, they start telling. And they can't risk the fact that these celebrities will tell the truth on what they really do in the industry. Sam Cooke lie motionless, slumped over, in a cheap motel room. They tell you that Sam Cooke died because he was trying to chase a prostitute into the manager's office to get his money that he felt like she'd taken from him. That is all hogwash. Sam Cooke was killed for his publishings. They came to Sam Cooke on several occasions to make a deal with him, to try to get him the reason to accept the brotherhood and come on in like everyone else. Sam said, no, I'm my own man. I own my own publishing. Sam Cooke was beaten to death. His blood, if you look to the left shoulder, is really trickling with blood from his head. They took an angle shot to make it look like he died from a gunshot wound. He died from trauma to the head. Sam Cooke's head was totally open. This also can be found in the book of Etta James. Beaten to death by gangsters, because he wouldn't comply, much like Jimi Hendrix. But instead of giving him a drug overdose, they beat him down. The blood was dripping so bad it dripped all down his knee. Sam Cooke didn't comply with the powers that be. It was unheard of for a man to own his own publishings and own his own masters. So for this, Sam Cooke paid with his life. The beautiful thing is Sam Cooke was very spiritual. So let's hope the Most High have his soul asleep until judgment, because he never took the oath and he never sold his soul, nor did he write his name in blood. Sam Cooke is lying in there motionless so the people can see him in a glass casket. Sam Cooke's life was taken as an example of what they tell you you cannot do. They want to totally control you. They want to do everything to you and not for you. This is a lesson to be learned about the so-called industry. Luther Vandross, who was an exceptional singer, could sing anything. So why did he die so sudden? See, after Luther had a stroke, the industry felt like, hey, we have no more use for him. Remember what Chaka Khan said, you're worth more dead than alive. So the order went out. Now, to prove to you that Luther was an order of an oath of brotherhood, we're going to show you his funeral casket as the slides continue. Luther Vandross sold out big time, wrote his name in blood. And isn't it interesting, at all funerals they call the same trumpet players, the same musicians, the Dionne Warwicks, the Stevie Wonders, the Alicia Keys, the Patti LaBelle's, all these people have signed their name in blood. Did you know that? These folks are so wicked, they put the W in wicked. Talking about Luther, to let us know that he was our blood sacrifice for the industry. Remember I told you earlier about the caskets. Whenever they put a casket on top of the shoulders and cross the hands like they do, this is a clear indication that his life was a sacrifice for the industry. There's levels of sacrificing. Luther didn't sacrifice for someone to go up in the industry. He was sacrificed for the purpose of the industry so they can make millions. And they did. From the moment he died, all his greatest hits started to sell. And everything he didn't put out on his own, they made masters of it. This is what it's about, the brotherhood. Pay close attention to the casket on the shoulders. Kurt Cobain was a very talented individual. You know, he changed the way rock music was played. The famous group Nirvana. But what a lot of people don't understand is that Kurt Cobain never took the plan of Satan. Now, he might have dealt with the oath, that means don't tell the secrets. But when Kurt Cobain got with Nirvana, they was just having fun. Kurt was a lot like Hendrix. He loved music. He loved playing music. But when he saw the politics of music and what he had to do in order to be a superstar, it put a sour taste in his mouth. Kurt Cobain spent a lot of his time in the studio just writing. Kurt really could care less about the politics and the powers that be. This didn't sit well with the executives. They wanted Kurt to get with the program. You see the guy in the back with the long hair? Well, this guy always wanted to be front man. He wanted Kurt to get with the program because he believed Nirvana could be bigger than life. But Kurt was moving at a turtle type of speed. Nevertheless, the guy to the right wanted a little bit more. He wanted Kurt to give in. Just play the game, man. Everybody else does it. This didn't sit well with Kurt. So nevertheless, they decided, hey, let's sacrifice Kurt. I can move up and you can move up. Who is the you? Believe it or not, Kurt Cobain's wife, her name is Courtney. She set Kurt up to be a blood sacrifice so she could get more movie deals and he could get his own band. Here's an illustration of the real picture of Kurt. This is how they found him, with a shotgun to the face and a letter by his side. If this doesn't look orchestrated, what does? Now, I'm not a forensic master, but come on, y'all. That just don't look right to me. The shotgun blew his total face off. This woman needed a blood sacrifice, and so did his drummer. They got tired of Kurt doing what he wanted to do and taking his time. So Courtney, his former wife, took aim and action at Kurt's life. They needed a blood sacrifice. They was told what to do. They gave him a knockout drug, and someone pulled the trigger. What was very interesting is that Courtney had some type of lettering in her backpack that never made it to the headlines of CNN, Fox, MSN, etc. What was it? It was a letter of alphabets. Now, why would you have this in your backpack? She was trying to record and study and mimic Kurt's handwriting. This never made it to the news, but it's making it to our news, right? She studied this man's handwriting for a few months until she mastered it so she could write the letter for Kurt. The handwriting that was found by Kurt's side was not Kurt Cobain, it was Courtney. And this letter she would read at all the concerts, all the press conference to get sympathy. And it worked. She got her movie deals, she got paid, and she had become a household name. Meanwhile, Kurt looked like a suicidal freak. Never happened. This whole thing was orchestrated by his wife, Miss Blondie, Courtney. So whatever happened to the drummer? I mean, did he ever progress? You know, because he always wanted to be front man. And Courtney did not do this by herself. She got all her picture deals. Did he ever get his royalties? Did he ever get his big band? The answer is yes. The guy with the black hair, with the tats, have you ever heard of the group called Foo Fighters? That's his group. When Kurt Cobain passed, they gave him a band, and they became larger than life. They even bigger than Nirvana. So that was his dilemma. Get rid of Kurt so I can come up. And they planned and orchestrated that man's death. This is the way they do it in the industry. Let's show a real clip of Kurt's death. The shotgun blast took his total face off. This is Kurt with no face. It took his total face off. So this is what you want? Man, get away from American Idol. Because there's nothing but demons and devils who you're going to be working for.
Give me something to believe in. Gotta get a long, long way away. I'm not the only
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like, when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. That's happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute. And he put this dress on. And, huh? What? A prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. Huh. I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then, like, the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So then, wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? This is, oh, gosh, this guy's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers comes, come on, David, would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, you know, strong brothers, why they putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing a dress. All right, fine. Think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later. The whole new scene. Damn, how did you write the scene so fast? You know, it's like, so you got to take a stand. Wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? Oh, gosh, that's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers comes, come on, David, would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking.
If you notice, Oprah has a finger to the temple. A lot of folks don't understand what's going on here. She's really taking her eyes off Dave Chappelle in the interview. Check out her eyes. She's looking at the monitor to make sure that her fingers is to the temple, so the elite will know that she is not with this interview, because Dave was not a part of the brotherhood. Let's bring some illustrations of what she's doing. The finger to the cheek, the finger to the temple, is really about the Masons that you will not tell the secrets. Let's go to a more in-depth illustration. This is Master Mason, man. Whenever you see that finger to the temple, that's a mark Master Mason. What does it say? Masonic ritual and monitor illustration, the sign of a mark master. For Oprah to be a billionaire, she would have to be in the Master Masonry on the female side. We cannot make these things up, people. Oprah was absolutely looking at the monitor to make sure that her finger was to the temple. Who did they get these teachings from? the master himself, Aleister Crowley. As I told you before, all these celebrities have this man's book as a Bible in their house somewhere. Now look at Oprah, looking away from Dave at the monitor. Then she looks back at Dave. She's making sure that her finger is to the temple because she's not with this interview. Let's look again. She's looking at the monitor. Then she's going to look back at Dave. She now realized that Dave is not a part of the brotherhood thus far.
Whitney Houston's opening concert in her long-awaited Australian tour fell flat last night. Fans of the Brisbane Entertainment Centre walked out on her performance in disgust after she struggled to make it through her songs.
After a 20-year absence, fans couldn't wait to see Whitney back in Australia, but after just a few songs,
was about to lose my breath.
Many couldn't wait to leave. She should have turned up.
No. Sorry we're having to leave early. Big waste of money, it was dreadful.
They complained that the diva appeared to be miming during her opening numbers, took long breaks to towel herself down, and could no longer hit the high notes that once took her to the top of the charts. Whitney tried to share the love.
I love you, Brisbane. I love you so much.
But her performance left concert goers cold.
It's the worst concert I've ever been to in my life.
Disgraceful, disappointed, horrible, upset. Definitely not worth $165. And a warning, this report could be offensive to some viewers. After a negative series of reviews in Australia, Whitney Houston has again put on a dismal performance in the UK.
Beverly Hills police have said foul play is not, I'm going to say this again, not suspected.
Who was around her, who, if anyone, gave her drugs, following alcohol and drugs, and who let her slip or pushed her underneath that water. Apparently no signs of force or trauma to the body. Right. Who let Whitney Houston go under her water?
A very tortured life. I don't know what her life was like before Clive discovered her, but she had demons, for sure. She had demons, for sure.
True that. Whitney Houston did have demons on her, but so does he, Babyface, and all the rest of them. Whitney Houston knew the game very quickly. She knew how to rise up, and she knew how to shut up. She signed her name in blood long ago. Clive Davis been molding her ever since she came into the business. If he's so happy to win these awards, everything they do is demonic. Even the awards that they win is in the pyramid. We did a story on this about awards, Academy Awards. They're all from Satan. Every time you do a good deed for him, they pray. They cut off the lights before they make their demos and hail Satan. Then they cut them back on and get with their lives. You would be surprised that 95% of these people in the industry are darkened. All of them are Satan worshipers. And this is going to shock you. Whitney Houston prays to Satan too. When she said God, she's talking about Babylonian gods, not the Heavenly Father. So it's a love and hate thing, right? Most of all, they don't love the Lord. They hate the Lord. They worship Satan. That's who gives them their riches, and that's who blesses them on this earth. But they're sadly mistaken, because Satan has to check in with the Most High. Satan can't do anything by himself. That's the delusional lies that they tell you when you come into the business, because Satan is a very fabricated person. He does this thing with a blink of an eye. Satan has no morals. He has no character. Everything is an illusion with Satan. Before Whitney Houston came into the business, she was very wholesome and sweet. When she got into business, she became rotten, inside out. Dionne Warwick, her moms, Aretha Franklin, her godmother, they all know the game well, including Gladys Knight. They all sold their soul, believe it or not. Whitney Houston believed in man. She believed Clive Davis could take her to the end of the world. She praised Clyde as a god. That's why she referred to him as who? Godfather. Yes, she did not believe in the Heavenly Father. Now, a lot of y'all going to be saying, wait a minute now. She always say praise God, but she's not talking about the Heavenly Father. They always say the word God. True. But they're talking about Babylonian God, Egyptology gods, Osiris's, Kabbalah gods. Not the Heavenly Father who created heaven and earth and sent his only begotten Son to die for our sins. Alicia Keys is probably the worst. She goes to every celebrity's funeral to sing. She's devoted to Clive Davis, heart, soul, and spirit. Clive Davis gave the okay for her to be with Swiss Beats and to have a baby. Believe it or not, that's the way they do it. They have to do everything in a chain of command because that's the oath and rituals that they accepted. Swiss Beats look on, but he embraces Clive just as hard as Alicia. And believe it or not, Swiss Beats also bisexual. They all get down, man. They all play the role because that's the rituals. They agree to those terms to be rich. This is who it's really about, Jennifer Hudson. She sacrificed her family in Chicago to be where Whitney Houston was. But at that time, there was nobody to move out. But time will prevail and have her wish, as well as Queen Elizabeth needed someone higher up. So one night killed two birds with one stone. Jennifer Hudson did not Weight Watcher all her weight. Most of that weight was lipoed out, and what they couldn't lipo, they nipped and they tucked. The lies of Hollywood. So Jennifer Hudson paid the deed. Now it's time for her to move up the ranks. Her sacrifice is paying off as she looks on and wonder what's next. She's been informed what's going down, and she acts like she has no idea. But the ritual starts with Madonna after halftime Super Bowl. Madonna knew all the rituals. She's a pro at it. She loves the Kabbalah. She doesn't even hide it, right? She was worshiping the Baphomet right in front of the world, and people just thought it was a great performance. She even had the crown of the Baphomet on top of her head, indicating that there is a ritual and a sacrifice to be placed 7 days after her performance. 7 represents in the scriptures as well as numerology. What you guys don't understand is a lot of numerology goes way back into biblical times, but man has taken it for evil-door things for his own settings. This picture here illustrates everything. Madonna with the crown of the Baphomet and her hands in position as the Baphomet. This performance for halftime was definitely letting the elites know someone higher up will be sacrificed. But let's not get it twisted. All the elites and all the superstars already knew who it was going to be, including Monica and Brandy. Word was also given to Nicki Minaj on what type of show they want her to do and the type of performance they expect of her. Whenever they do a ritual performance like Nicki Minaj performed, they go into a closed conference and they have nothing but the high priest masonaries to explain and illustrating how this thing's supposed to be done. And that's just the plain truth.
I do 2 hours a day. This was you. 2 hours a day. I have to. I wish I was here. I'm just hating a little bit because I can't. I love it. I'm a swimming all day. I do 2 hours a day. This was you. 2 hours a day.
Isn't it sad that the people you think care so much about you don't really give two squats about you? Her mentor, Clyde Davis, is knowing within hours she's going to be set up. Now notice Clyde Davis always holding his hand into a fist over fist. Now, in the Masonic world, that means time is up. His time has not come up yet. So who does he referring to when he holds his hands over his fist? Someone's time is up. Is Whitney. You see this, right? Now, Brandy received the letter, but it won't know part of it. Brandy and Monica both was informed that Whitney will go down so they can come back up. Now, these young ladies is young enough to be Whitney's daughters, and they have no character or no compassion for this woman's life. Now, that's the life Whitney Houston chose. We're not making excuses for her. Whitney was a grown woman and she chose to do what she did. We're going to take you through this and walk you through this slow. Brandy did not want that letter. So the camera woman noticed Brandy looking uncomfortable. So there's a publicist in the room as well. As Whitney Houston motions for her daughter, Bobby Christina, they're going to do something like a quarterback sneak. As Whitney is slowly turning, they're going to hand the letter off to be dealt with. But isn't it funny that Brandy is using this for a crutch to sell music? Check this out. Take it, girl. Okay, she ain't looking. Gone. Man, Lord have mercy. And this is the industry that y'all wait outside for hours and days to do American Idol, to be on X Factor, America's Got Talent. Do you understand in order to be a part of that world, you have to be demonic? You have to sleep with men, men sleeping with men, women sleeping with women. You have to follow rituals. You have to do blood sacrifice offerings. If not, you're not going to be a part of this world. And once you in, you can only blood out. You can never get out.
Taking the responsibility of this movie that means so much to so many people, you know?
God has his own time. I have to put it in that perspective because 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
What's it been like taking the responsibility of this movie that means so much to so many people, you know?
God has his own time. I have to put it in that perspective because 12 years ago, 13 years ago, Aaliyah was to play this part. She was our Sparkle, and she was absolutely perfect for it. She wanted it, and she was preparing for it, and we were going to do this thing, and Warner Brothers had the project, and we were just all down with it, and just happened. Very sad and very memorable moment for me. I remember just crying fiercely and profusely, and I just said that, and I was like,
Whitney Houston, you know you lying. She knew all about the rituals, and she knew who, what, when, and why they had to be sacrificed. She knew why Aaliyah plane went down. She knew that Damon Dash was going to go up in the ranks. Every entertainer that died before Whitney, she knew if it was accidental or sacrifice. Aaliyah had no idea what was going on, but she played the role. She took the oath as well. She threw up hands up in pyramids plenty of times, okay? But when Whitney was speaking on Aaliyah, she mentioned that they lost a sparkle. The sparkle was the sacrifice. Whenever they put a casket on the shoulders with the fist over fist, people, this is a sacrifice, letting the elite know it's been done. Now, whoever it was done for can now move up in the ranks.
God has his own time. I have to put it in that perspective because 12 years ago, 13 years ago, Aaliyah was to play this part. She was our Sparkle, and she was absolutely perfect for it. She wanted it, and she was preparing for it, and we were going to do this thing, and Warner Brothers had the project, and we were just all down with it, and just happened. Very sad and very memorable moment for me. I remember just crying fiercely and profusely, and I just said that, and I was like, oh my God, and it wasn't even about Sparks.
Jordan Sparks is on her way. She accepted the oath. Now she is in the process of writing her name in blood. She will start in her first picture with Whitney Houston, Sparkle. They come in so innocent, but they leave out so tainted. She know about the all-seeing eye. She know about the rituals. She does them all well. She has no idea how deep she's in, but yet there's no turning back because you can never get out once you're in. The only way you get out is the blood out. To look at Jordan, she's beautiful, but the Lord don't look at you outwardly. He looks at you inwardly, and inwardly, Jordan is tainted.
Were you afraid that you had lost the voice, the treasure?
I was afraid that I had lost the spirit for it. The spirit for it.
So you weren't worried about the voice?
No.
You were worried about the spirit for it.
I was singing to myself and God. But I didn't think...
You notice Whitney got a finger to the temple. That goes back to the rituals. If you missed it, let's recap. Who is their master of all of these signs of the Kabbalah of Egyptology world? Aleister Crowley. That's right. Whitney Houston knew the rituals and she knew them well. She was letting Oprah know, hey, don't ask me nothing crazy. We're on the same team. Keep it moving, right? Anyways, the finger to the temple is basically illustrating the mark master mason. It's a sign of a mark master. Whitney Houston was a master of her industry. She knew exactly what she was doing.
I don't want to be behind the mic anymore.
And Clive helped you get that back?
He told me I could do it. He said, you got to do it. I was really afraid of going back into that world called the music industry.
Whitney did not want to be a part of the industry because she knew she would have to perform rituals, sacrifices, and be demonic. Look at the interview itself. The red chairs, the red carpet. Everything about this interview was satanic and set up to feed the people, to make sure that the people would support Whitney. But in the long run, it was nothing but a sacrifice down the line.
Before we say goodbye, I want to say bravo to Clive Davis, legendary music producer. Stand up.
Whitney Houston throws up her signs in the Kabbalah. She's giving praise and homage to Clive Davis for giving her a standing ovation. When Oprah said bravo, the name itself is satanic. You see how they coincide with each other? Whitney Houston was very aware of what was going on with Clive Davis buying all of her records. That's right, I said records, because Whitney didn't sell anything. Clyde bought all those singles to make Whitney be number one. That's the way they get down because he owns the industry. Now this is the Kabbalah, what it means. They worship mercy, beauty, sovereignty, victory, foundation, glory. You see, this is the way they get down. These are satanic gods. They pray to these satanic gods and they just say God is good, but they don't mean what they say. They're talking about Babylonian gods. Nelson Mandela also worshiped the Kabbalah. See, it's all about sacrifice, rituals, and satanic Masonic folk. Folks, we can't make this stuff up. From political to sports to entertainment, they all are a part of it.
would be hard to beat Whitney at her peak. Hard, right? When I hear you sometimes, I do genuinely feel, and I'm not as expert like Clive is, but I feel she's nearly there, maybe as good now.
Oh, listen, it's hard to make comparisons. For years, you know, working with the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, I was always said, well, can Whitney compare with Aretha? They're old-timers, and Jennifer definitely has that potential to be an old-timer. What we have to do with Top 40 Radio today, concentrating on electronica and dance music, we've got to make sure that artists like Jennifer or rock artists, the new Bruce Springsteen, the new Bob Dylan, has a chance to emerge so that
people pay close attention to what Clive Davis is saying. The new Bruce Springsteen, the new Bob Dylan, he's talking about killing folks off and replacing them. Whitney Houston have to go down in order for Jennifer Hudson to take her place. Right? Listen very closely on how he speak.
We've got to make sure that artists like Jennifer or rock artists, the new Bruce Springsteen, the new Bob Dylan, has a chance.
The order has been given. Whitney Houston has to go down for the Queen Elizabeth, Jennifer Hudson, and Brandon Monica. Yes, folks, this is what they do. So the order went out, and time is an essence. Remember what we said prior, that Nicki Minaj was giving a brief description of what they expect of her. The most important things was two. One was kneeling at the altar, representing a sacrifice. And number two, that she be elevated off the stage, indicating that Whitney Houston being on the 4th floor and they on the 3rd floor for a pre-Grammy party.
Mom, come see her.
Yeah, you got a sweet one. You must be God. You must be. Those clothes, those stars, those rings. Yeah, and that MacBook.
You notice when Brandy opened up her MacBook, it says Robot Film Company. Robot indicating being under control as mind control, subliminal.
See, because they both give in to the ritual, so they admitting that they under mind control. Now, how often is this? You got a MacBook with 666 on it. And basically, they fooling you because they got it written in old English letterings to throw you off. But only a fool cannot see this because they love they idolaters. Brandy throws up the goat, the Baphomet, indicating that they're on point, that this video is to make a mockery out of Whitney's death. The light in the background is representing moon gods. How wicked. Look at Monica. Both of her arms out in pyramids. She has the moon god in back of her. You probably have no idea why she has her hands on her hip. That represents Ram, understanding mind control of the Masonic world. Monica is just a straight up devil. She wearing the shirt with a sun god and has Aleister Crowley member on her shirt. His name is Lawrence. Now let me explain this thing. What she has on top of her head goes back to Aleister Crowley's Bible teachings. She gets all of these rituals from Lawrence. Look at the picture. This is who she's mimicking in the video. But you all have no idea how these people get down. And even when we show you, you say, they just hate it. But that's fine. We're here to tell the truth on how demonic these folks are. Monica is just a straight up devil, man. You see the sun worship in her chest, Lawrence in her chest. You see the Satan satanic jewelry on top of her head. She got all this from Aleister Crowley's book. And they follow his rituals to the T. If we didn't have the video, people would swear up and down that we're making it up. But you have no idea that this is the way they get down. Man, they don't have a current bone in their body. They're just evil doers. You see the shirt? Got Whitney in the back. We're going to explain that in just a bit. When she started to cut his tie, it has nothing to do with the clothes that he bought. I know a lot of you females saying she just cutting up his clothes that she bought. No, it's a ritual. We're going to slow it down so you can see. See Whitney? But did you see the other thing? That's Whitney Houston, right? But look at the brother. You see his wrist? It's a star. And what's falling from his chest? A cut tie. So in essence, they're saying they're cutting ties with Whitney Houston and they're going to be the new beginning. We can't make this stuff up. Notice anything different about Brandy, how she's laying in the position? Well, that's how they found Whitney. By the way, Whitney was given a knockout drug, and then they put her into the bathtub to make it look like a drowning, but she died on the floor the way Brandy is positioned. Now, Brandy took it a step further by putting her hand on her chest because Whitney died of cardiac. Her heart stopped. They're mimicking this woman's death. Watch again. See the hand on the chest? And she lays on the floor. Folks, you cannot deny truth. Kirk Franklin gets a tribute, but it was anything but a tribute. He throws up 666, and he also mocks Whitney's death. Another evildoer. He throws up 666. By the way, this man is very gay. I don't care how many women he put on his side. He'd want nothing but a big, strong, musty man. Kirk Franklin is wicked as hell.
Half the room were in tears, the other half were kind of partying. What did you feel about that?
I thought that was complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She's the kind of woman that would say, stop everything. I'm not going to be there. You know, I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously and whose life had been affected by her. So they were like, I don't understand how that.
I had Clive Davis by pure chance in here on Friday night with Jennifer Hudson, and he obviously worshipped Whitney, and I think he must have gone through agony when he heard this news, knowing it was 2 or 3 hours till this event.
Right.
And I think he took the decision to turn it into a tribute to her. And I understand that. I mean, he obviously was wrestling with the right thing to do.
That would have been right if it really was a true tribute, and and a true tribute, might have been a more honest tribute in my opinion, would have been maybe call everybody together, let's say a prayer, and let's eat dinner and go home.
Without boring her in her life.
Well, if it would not hit somebody else. If she wants to get high, if you want to get high, you're going to get high.
And do you think she had that tendency anyway?
I think that we all, as artists, because we're highly sensitive people, and this machine around us, this so-called music industry, is such a demonic thing. It sacrifices people's lives and their essences, and it's dropping the dime.
And how did you feel when you heard that Sony, I think it was back in the UK, had jacked the prices up of Whitney's album?
It reminds me
within an hour or so of the night.
Yeah, that reminds me of the time I had a manager once that said to me, you're worth more money dead than alive. Okay, so
Whitney's death is now complete. As you can see, the casket is on their shoulders, hand over hand, indicating there was a high sacrifice performed for Queen Elizabeth, Brandy, and Monica, and the powers that be. We cannot make this stuff up, y'all. This really happened. To look at Brandy and Monica outwardly, they look beautiful, but the Lord looks at you inwardly, and then inwardly, they're tainted. Queen Elizabeth comes off as an old woman who cares about the world, but she's really tainted. She's just not tainted. She's also Satan's daughter. Revelation 18:22. And the voice of harpers and musicians and pipers and trumpeters should be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be should be found any more in thee, and the sound of millstones should be heard no more at all in thee. It's talking about the music industry making millions and billions. Their time is up. Shalom, shalom, fam. Peace.
Do you think of yourself as a sort of classical cowboy, you know, the Tom Mix of 1967 or something?
Well, not in these films, no. In these films, the character in Fistful is he's the epitome of anti-heroism, and he's one of the few westerns in which the hero sort of instigates conflict in the story. Most of the time, all conflict in a western, especially, is instigated by the villain. In this case, the hero sort of throws kerosene on the fire, and it comes out with an interesting result, I think.
So he's not the traditional hero at all, then?
No, definitely not. I think we tried purposely to stay away from the traditional hero, veer as far away as possible.
What are the problems of making Italian westerns?
Well, the Italian director, the Italians, of course, are famous for making earthy films, and this goes good with the western. I think this Italian director that I worked for had a different feel, a non-Hollywoodian, if there is an expression like that, feel, and I think it came off, it comes off effectively. At least it comes off different.
Your father, of course, Clint Eastwood, and I just wanted to mention it's gotta be strange because I would think, okay, this is your dad.
Who again?
Clint. His name's Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
that guy.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me is that I learned that you have to audition for his movies.
You went to an astrologist to get some
Yes, I did.
inspiration.
I have an astrologer. Yeah, I have a friend who's an astrologer. He thinks I'm a nutter, and so do you, obviously.
I've
got a great friend, and she is uncannily accurate and perceptive about people and relationships. So she actually analysed their relationship, and quite apart from giving me a sort of blueprint to Elizabeth's character, it was really helpful.
How does it work? You go to her and say, I'm thinking about doing Elizabeth Taylor.
She knew Elizabeth Taylor's chart. It's quite a famous chart. She said the first thing she said looking at this chart, she said her sense of humour was enormous. And that was kind of why I did it originally, was her sense of fun and her sense of humour.
Did you do the same thing?
I gave it to him. I gave him a number. He did nothing about it.
You didn't bother?
I didn't. I would have done. I wish I had. I was slightly sceptical because you told her already whose charts they were, and I thought if it had been a blind tasting. Anyway, I was a fool and I missed out on it. But I was going to say something really interesting then, but I can't remember what it was.
She basically did. Like, he read all his biographies, but she cut through. You didn't have to read on it. It was all about the man's all about so much guilt she saw in his chart, so much about death.
So do you go for all that?
It's not like, I mean, it's not a mystical belief, it's just uncanny, just a point of view that
It's a shortcut in research. Really.
Shortcut, yeah, actually.
Are you big into astrology?
I'm not big, enormous, but there's this particular friend of mine who seems really talented.
Can you tell what star sign people are just by kind of talking to them?
I can't tell who you are. What do you think?
Do you think, can you normally?
No, I'm not that acute. I'm not
Now,
that
some
intuitive.
people say that you can just say, oh, I know what you are.
I can tell. It's not a surprise. I mean, I know now there's certain people that I will always get on with.
Which ones are they?
Sagittarians.
Can you remember the time in your own childhood or adolescence when you formulated the desire to be an actor?
Was there a point, someone you saw or someone who influenced you?
Well, no, I would say it was a gradual thing, as it probably is with most people. It's an unusual choice of occupation for a sort of centrally placed male American. You know, when you're out there in New Jersey, you don't suddenly pop up in the middle of your football practice and say, yes, I'm going to be an actor. It doesn't do it that way. I probably really started thinking about doing it after I was doing it. And vaguely when I was working at MGM in the cartoon department, a job which I got really mainly to observe movie making because I was sort of starstruck at that time, still am.
Histories of you at school, they relate that your rendering of Managua, Nicaragua, showed people the early talent. How did that? What was Managua, Nicaragua?
Managua, Nicaragua was a hit song of the early 40s, actually, in which I sang it in a grammar school variety show in a red and gold crepe paper cape with a sort of bellboy's monkey hat on. I was rather flamboyant, I would say, for a 7-year-old or whatever it was.
When you got into movies, those early films, the pre-Easy Rider films, the Roger Corman movies, do they make you wince when you see them on television now?
Well, they all make you wince. I mean, I think work of any vintage, because, you know, you embody your own work, makes I would imagine makes anyone wince, or at least it should. I got to do a few things that I actually liked, and I must say that although I was in some of the most dreadful pictures of all time, that I was, and so were all the people I was working with, trying to do their best under the circumstances, and that's really all you need as a developing actor, is just to be trying to do it.
With acting, it's a bit like therapy.
It's really interesting because I listened to you and you obviously love it. And I remember, you know, you started in it obviously very, very young.
Yes.
And there was a time when I don't know if you liked it so much, and I think that I even read in an interview one place where you said, I was told when I was a kid that this is not something you do when you grow up.
No, yeah.
And, well, but
that
it's
was
changed.
That was the inference, I think, was that, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a doctor or a lawyer? Or, an actor was never mentioned because I think at the time, and this is true, a lot of people have this bias that if you're an actor, you're not smart, or that you don't challenge yourself intellectually.
But don't you think that's changed?
Well, that's definitely changed. It is true that the acting per se, just the acting part, which is just the execution, is not an intellectual process, it's an emotional process. But there are two sides of the personality and two sides to every performance. There's the choreography and there's the dance. It doesn't matter what kind of dancer you are. If you can't make the intellectual choices, you can't analyze why the steps are there and where they're headed to, you're just going to be flailing your arms a lot.
I hear Jody, the director, talking.
Well, that's, yeah.
You enjoy that side of it as well, and want to pursue both sides because they both have their
Yeah, I do.
fun
And
part
I
of
think
it.
in some ways it's what makes me a more collaborative actor, is that I do understand the technical aspects of filmmaking, and I do have an architecture for what I do. Sometimes I think I'm better at the architecture than I am at the performance, you know, and that's why I have to choose my characters very carefully, because if I don't understand them, if I'm not emotionally involved in them, or I don't have an agenda with them, if there's no story for me to follow, I'm not very good.
I do. We've been talking for years about Bill and Ted. I think like but I feel
we're gonna grow old together.
No,
and you know it's just gonna be like, are you ever gonna do Bill and Ted?
What is it? It's almost like a kind of Quixote-esque thing.
Exactly.
I don't know what that
We're
is.
chasing
What
at
is that?
windmills.
Yeah, we're chasing the Bill and Ted windmill. Or,
Do you regret now
let's play
mentioning to me
squash one day.
mentioning to me casually one day on an Oscar red carpet that Bill and Ted 3 was going to happen? Because now it follows you everywhere, it follows Alex everywhere. It's almost like maybe you should have done it in secret and like when it's ready, it's ready.
I know, maybe it'll be one of those. It's a long story. There's lots of subterfuge and conspiracy theories. There's a whole thing.
What should I believe? What's going on?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I might have to do like one of those independent press conspiracy, other name, kind of explaining why it hasn't happened yet, because it's pretty dark. Dark out there.
But
the anomalos is everywhere.
There is a script. There was even a director that was talked about.
There's all sorts of stuff, and it just can't. It's just there's darkness out there that's keeping it.
As
from
you sit here
happening.
today, do you think the darkness is going to overtake this, or do you think it will come out of the darkness into the light?
It's not winning right now.
Oh.
It's not. It's that part of the story where it's looking grim.
I don't like this. This is
I know.
This is the darkest period.
It's
ever.
the dark period of
you know what
the
they say?
idea of what?
It's darkest before the dawn. It's about to turn, buddy.
And the road.
This is the most existential conversation about a film's development ever.
It is. It's amazing. It's like the. What is it? It's like the Apocalypse Now or pre-production. It's the Heaven's Gate.
We're heading down the river.
It's Heaven's Gate of like the darkness of the Bill and Ted 3.
Is Bill's voice going to come back naturally? Is it hard to get back into the actual voice, the cadence of Bill?
I played Ted.
Oh my God.
You just lost all of your cred, dude. That's right. That's what you should do right now, because you just lost all of your Bill and Ted cred. I don't know.
I thought in Bill and Ted 3 you were playing the other role. That's what happened.
Nice try.
What's coming?
Nice try, Dave.
What's coming up next for you? What are you shooting next? No, don't be
I'm
like
kidding.
that. What's coming
I
next?
forgive, but I don't forget.
Oh, damn it. All that love is gone now. What are you shooting
You know
next?
what's funny about that? I'll tell you a story, because that does happen. I'll tell you Bill and Ted's story. So no, don't.
Okay.
No, don't, because I remember when. Well, there's a couple of things. Well, we don't have time for this. Okay, anyway. So one day we're going in. Alex and I, both once we heard that we got the roles, thought we were playing the other guy's role. So I thought I was going to be playing Bill, and he thought he was going to be playing Ted.
Awkward.
And then we went. No, it was weird. And then we both went to wardrobe fittings, and they told us we had the other roles. And then we said, okay. And then one day when we finally went to the pre-production, we went to go shoot the movie, and we were out there. We were hanging out. We came too early to the production office, and we went to the McDonald's to hang out. Then when we came back from McDonald's back to the production office, we heard some guy say, "You know what? I just saw the real Bill and Ted in the McDonald's." And then we were like, "How's it going, dude?" And he was like, "Oh my God, it's you." And we were like, "Yeah." So,
It's a spell you cast on people.
It is. It's a whole thing. It's another. That's what's part of the conspiracy theory. It goes to a whole alternate universe. It does this thing. It's like a. It's part of like an M field. It's a B and T field.
I'm not going to sensationalize this video at all. I'm not going to claim that Kobe was an Illuminati sacrifice or that he's alive on some island somewhere. I sometimes think those kinds of things are said to deflect scrutiny away from the true and utterly provable conspiracy. The one in which every celebrity who is a household name to someone out there in the world is an initiate in the secret societies. Some are from more traditional witchcraft covens, while others practice the more palatable and vanilla version of witchcraft known as Freemasonry. And yes, women can be Freemasons as well, the Order of the Eastern Star.
Where were you first prepared to be a Freemason?
In my heart.
Describe the mode of your preparation.
To the Blue Lodge members out there, I know. You just raise money and hold pancake breakfasts. We've heard it all before. Enter the Royal Arch or Scottish Rite and rise in degree work, and you'll better understand what we're talking about.
When I took the 32nd degree of Freemasonry, it says that Freemasonry's goal and aim is to rule the world.
So, while not sensationalized, here is Kobe Bryant doing the sign of a master of the second veil in Freemasonry. sometimes called the hidden hand. You're going to find all kinds of things when researching this topic, but you have to really dig in and not just dismiss it all as madness before you ever even take the time to look. Why is it that they all put up their finger over their lips in the sign of Harpocrates, denoting occult secrecy? Harpocrates is the Greco-Roman version of the child Horus in Egypt, mind you. Why is Mr. Bryant throwing up the sign of Tumash Neath that so many of them do? A grade sign in Aleister Crowley's Ordo Templi Orientis, or as Crowley-admiring Jay-Z likes to call it, the diamond. And when they throw up their 3 6s, you think nothing of it. And of course, when they put it over their eyeball, you even know less what to do with it. No one quite knows what to call that one. It's a powerful weaponized tool, really, using these puppets to help promote products and agendas for those who also walk on that old checkerboard floor. Think of what's happened during this COVID-19 business. Celebrities bombarded us with stay-home music videos, and wearing a creepy mask is now a fashion trend because, wouldn't you know it, most people admire these so-called celebrities, these icons.
I used to work out with the 76ers. I used to ask them, what's it like to guard Mike? Mike? You mean Black Jesus? I'm like, what the fuck?
So the media shouts jump, and the nation says, how high? It's a program populace, and the television screens and radio waves deliver your daily hypnosis. We can barely even think for ourselves without them. Why is it that every time you dig into this subject, it always brings us to Satanists ruling the world? Now, to the non-believers out there who keep watching videos like this, it's time to pay attention to that news flash rather than some anchor in a suit who, mind you, always dismisses this as a wacky and humorous conspiracy theory while cueing the X-Files music.
Now, you've heard of the Illuminati.
Yes.
For young,
I'm big into the Illuminati.
Are you really? So explain.
But I've heard of it.
Explain what the Illuminati is to young people listening.
Oh,
it's a series of powerful men.
Conspiracy theories about this group of powerful people in Hollywood and throughout the world that run everything, right? That's pretty much it.
They dictate policy. They dictate everything shy of interest rates, or maybe they do.
I'm big into the Illuminati.
Are you really?
No,
They won't ever tell you. They are the beast's mouthpiece, receiving their daily bread from the hidden hand that feeds them. We, of course, receive our daily bread from God alone, something they can't appreciate because their reward is here and now. And not all of them perhaps know the ins and outs of every aspect of the conspiracy, but that they can be moved along on the checkerboard floor in the chess match makes them useful anyway. Folks, it always leads back to Satanists in a new world order because this world of ours is biblical. God is real, and God sent his only Son into the world so that whosoever believeth in him shall have eternal life. Until you start to see through who these false idols actually are and pick up your Bible as often as you watch an NBA game, you'll be baffled. Oh, my channel recently received a strike and I couldn't post for a week. I have a backup channel I linked to in the description here, so I really encourage you to subscribe and hit the bell there for notifications. Should this channel ever go down, and it very well might, that's where we'll resume. Until next time, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus' mighty name.
But
you know about the toad?
Your content is good, but your context is not clear. You're not clear on your context. But I'll fill you in later.
Roseanne, have you ever tried psychedelics or anything before?
I did. I just barely did because I was saving that for my 60s.
Oh, mushrooms are cool. I like mushrooms.
I didn't.
They're hard to get, though. All right, Roseanne, I took this drug called the toad, and it blew my mind, man. It really took me to another planet.
Yeah.
Of really what planet?
Man, it was a dimension I couldn't even describe.
Could you describe anything about it?
It was like a quick rush. It happened real fast. As soon as I smoked, boom! My mind just exploded, and I started going to places, the Aztec, like you see the Aztec pyramids and everything. You start seeing things, your mind is rushing real fast. Everything's going fast, your body's... Matter of fact, you're not even in your body, it's just your mind moving. And you're chilling out, everything's going fast. You think you're dying, can't breathe, and then you wake up.
You mean a panic mode?
No, you just wake up happy.
Oh, you wake up happy. So it's like a reverse panic mode.
Yeah, you just don't know where you're going. And if you know, oh my God, hey, guy. It's really bizarre.
It's about 68, 70 degrees. It's room temperature. This is the way you need it to be. What, do you keep it hot in your theater? You probably can't have it. No, because if you have it hot, people will doze off. You know, the audience, the actors, everybody get drowsy and they go to sleep. You wouldn't want that, would you?
We don't have that problem.
Would you?
It's a free country.
Yes, I mean, the last days of, maybe, right?
If you'll ever go to a Star Wars convention, because if you went to a Star Wars convention, I think those people would lose their minds.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't so far, but I mean, in need of cash one day, maybe I'll go make some free money. Girls have to, you know, be friends with the guys to get in. And
I'm sure they'd let you in, though.
oh yeah, I got it. And I was an
Okay.
actress. If you went to lunch with Natalie Portman, she would only order a hot tea with lemon and maybe some toast. Definitely not an entree, though. You are wrong.
Did you go to school? You actually went to classes?
No, I graduated without going
No,
to
but I mean,
classes.
The bottom of both hearts beating inside my miraculous female body. I want to thank our new president. You just started the revolution.
Work, and I wanted to know if anyone here was on Facebook.
I went to school with those guys, though.
Yeah.
I, like, know the Winklevoss twins. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
partied
You
with
mentioned
them.
Oh, she.
I'm 14.
14 years old now.
I figured out that I've been alive as long as your show's been going on.
And here are the all-male nominees.
Back then, I was promoting V for Vendetta, and now the whole country is kind of promoting V for Vendetta.
I made Jean Reno quit smoking.
Oh, really? Your
He's been-
co-star? You made
yeah.
him quit?
Yeah, I made him quit.
You make him smoke the fake ones now?
No, I make him smoke nothing.
Oh, really? How'd you get him to do that? That's really hard to get people to quit smoking.
I told him it was disgusting.
He said in some interview that the friends he's lost because of politics, it's like exfoliating. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I like the spa metaphors.
So you're a dead skin cell.
Proudly.
There's also a sort of a madman's, a crazy person's determination just to keep going and not give up. And a kind of rage. There's a deep rage in Voldemort against the world. Funny enough, when I saw my nephew Hero, who played the young Tom Riddle, Voldemort, he has such a wonderful quality of a boy's loneliness because the world has rejected him, which is the beginning of a sort of rage against the world. I often remember that scene that Hero played because it was it's a good reference for that little only isolated boy who's decided he will not be defeated. Anyone who is evil doesn't probably think they're evil. They think they have a way of seeing the world which is their way. It's the right way. It's the way that'll work. The world works better if it's done like this, my way. Well, it's a very real threat, I think, that he will destroy all Harry's friends if they try to protect him. So I think Harry is heroic. I think he makes a very real threat.
Hello, I've got a short film that I want you to watch. It's about a global problem that affects millions of children and young people. It's about children being exploited at the hands of adults. It's about the loss of innocence and an early entry into the harshest realities of life. Please watch it. It's short, but it's definitely not sweet. Countries like these are rich in natural resources. Hardwood trees reach for the sun with their dark limbs. Diamonds sleep in the earth or stare from the mountains. But one crop is more precious than gold or opals. An exotic fruit. It grows wild and free in towns and villages. It is prized higher than all others. It is ripe for picking after 12 or 13 summers. At harvest time, buyers arrive from the city. They seek out the tender buds. They pluck the best of the bunch. They cut the roots. They disappear into the dust. Some fruit is for domestic consumption, but most is exported. It can be seen being unloaded at UK airports. Many wealthy countries have developed a taste for it. It's not uncommon for one piece of fruit to be sold 1,000 times over. It is often packaged in eye-catching colours. It is praised for its sweet scent and its sun-kissed flesh, prized for its soft insides and its dark segments. Only the heart of the fruit is discarded, the heart which is broken once the fruit is opened. Every year, over 1 million children are trafficked, transported across borders and exploited on their arrival. UNICEF wants to end child exploitation. UNICEF wants to end child exploitation. UNICEF wants to end child exploitation. UNICEF wants to end child exploitation and are tackling the problem at the source. But we need your help. You've got two choices. Do nothing or do something. I sincerely hope that you will join UNICEF's campaign to help end child exploitation.
What is the profession?
Yeah, which profession are we talking about?
Just look at it. Is it a legal profession? Of course it's legal. It's a legal my profession.
I'm trying to read it.
Okay.
It's too many diamonds.
Yeah, that's too bright. That's too bright.
Go ahead anyway. Oh, Mason, are you a Mason?
Of course I am.
Okay. That's a secret ceremony.
Tell me about this new venture and what, persuaded you to do it.
What persuaded me to do it is I've always wanted to be in the franchise business. Well, I have been in the franchise business. I've been in the restaurant business for a while. So when I met the CEO, Stephen Ritchie of Papa John's, I was like, I want some franchises. He's like, yeah, we're going through some changes. We got to do some stuff in leadership. Yeah, you need a more diverse leadership board. You need people up there to understand. You need different faces, women. You need to do all that. So they left and they got back to me and they said, okay, we want to bring you on as an ambassador. I said, no. I don't want to be an ambassador. I want a triple threat deal. So I want to be on the board. I want to be an ambassador. And I want to be a franchisee. I want to own some stores. So we're going to do it. And I also said, has to be new leadership up top. Like if the other nonsense is going on, I don't want to do it. But if you and Jeff Smith, chairman of the board, are on top, then I'll do it. Because we want to create a new culture over there where people understand that we love you, we accept you, and we understand you. We don't want to exclude anybody. We don't want to put people through nonsense because Papa John has always been a great brand, great customer service, great ingredients in their pizza. And pizza is fun. People love pizza, and pizza love people.
I'm here because they're not going to demean the character of George Floyd,
That's right.
my twin. A lot of times when police do things that they know that's wrong, the first thing they try to do is cover it up and bring up your background to make it seem like the bullshit that they did was worthy. When was murder ever worthy? Never. But if it's a black man, it's approved. You can't tell me when that man had his knee on my brother's neck, taking his life away with his hand in his pocket, that smirk on his face didn't say I'm protected.
That's right. That's what it is. It's okay.
Imagine this. A man growing up in an area where the odds are already against him. Trying to figure it out. They say experience is the best teacher. So you're going to make mistakes.
That's right.
Everybody going to make mistakes. You make some bad decisions. It happens. We all make bad decisions, right? We make bad decisions. Even being successful, I've made bad decisions, right? You get to a point where you make a bad decision and you end up suffering for it, going through time. Sit down, okay? You got to go through that. They say you got to rehabilitate yourself. You rehabilitate yourself. You have relationships with people where you're able to get away and try to better your life, right? Because you've been in the system. All they tell you, the only way you can get out is if you rehabilitate yourself.
That's right.
And when you rehabilitate yourself, you get out and you still treated like a criminal. Right? So, stay with me now. Picture that. You get an opportunity to move away from the environment that brought you down. You get away, you be successful, you get a job, your life starts turning in the right direction. You stumble a little bit again. It's not worth your life, though.
Right, that's it.
You stumble a little bit again, and you end up on the ground with a knee in your neck, screaming your mama's name, screaming your kids' names. Going to the bathroom on yourself.
Tell the story.
Imagine if he was white. Ponder that for a minute.
No way.
Imagine if he was white.
Lots of things, but, well, you know, for me, this role had been sort of, the character and the role had been sort of created back when we were doing Pulp Fiction, and then sort of gone away and then come back. And he let me into his creative process in this amazing way of, you know, reading to me scenes as he was writing them, as he was shaping the movie, and letting me be a sounding board and watch him build the movie. And so I kind of was amazed, shocked, horrified, excited, blown away. You know, the day he called me and read me the scene where I felt he captured the voice of the character, I got to go through incrementally, like, all those experiences with him. So by the time I got the 222-page script that was, you know, that thick, by the time I got there, I was very much inside the world that he was creating. And even then, I mean, you know, it's the sort of amazing disbelief, like, what is he gonna have me do? Like, what is he thinking? I mean, you know, how's he gonna do that? Gee, I'm sure he'll figure it out. Little did I know that I too would have to figure it out. But, so it was sort of a very long process, really, that it was never, like, I never had that moment where you sort of read a finished script from somebody that you know or don't know, and you go, oh, I like this, or oh, I don't like this. And I was sort of, I felt like I was always inside the movie. So as it was created, I was just trying to imagine how on earth I was going to handle it.
Nice car.
Sure is.
Make a deal with me, kid. You can have the car and everything that goes along with it. So what do you say?
Thanks. But I think I got this.
This September, set your soul free. The Seductive CLA, starting under $30,000 from Mercedes-Benz.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe.
Don't come around here no more. Don't come around here no more. Whatever you're looking for. Hey! Don't come around here no more. I'm giving up. Stop. Stop walking down my street.